What's up guys, this is Astranox. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a lot of different heroes. They are available for summoning now or they are going to be available soon. So there is a lot of them. Some of them are limited. They only show up once a year. Some of them are in the Mystic rotation. Moonlight Hero, Light and Dark. Some of them are not limited. They are RGB heroes, right? They are Fire, Ice, Earth, 5-star heroes. So it might be hard to decide who to summon for. So the heroes I'm going to talk about are the following: Specimen Sez, Angel of Light Angelica, Tamarinne, Can, Tenebria, Luna, Landy, Belian, Auxiliary Lots. I'll talk about him real quick. But yeah, who should you be summoning for? Who is a meta hero, most effective tactic available? Heroes that are so good in PvP, players are picking them, in Champion, in Legend. They are picking them because they are very powerful. They got maybe buffed, or maybe they're just simply so good because right now they are countering a certain hero, a certain playstyle, and I'll be talking about which hero is better for a certain playstyle. So let's start it off here. This is my first account. As you can see, some of these heroes I have at the table already. All these heroes I've showcased besides Specimen Sez, which I still need to showcase him. But yeah, Belian, of course, I can't showcase her. She's not even available yet. So these heroes, like Specimen Sez and Angel of Light Angelica, these two are available right now, right? You can see it. The rotation is right here. The current rotation is this, and then the following one will be this one. And to be honest, this rotation is not as good as this one because there is a Bazaar, and Bazaar is actually a meta hero. He's very good. I'm not gonna talk about why, but yes, if you're going to be summoning for Angel of Light Angelica, it would be preferable to summon on this rotation instead of this one right here. But it really depends who you already have in your roster. Maybe you need some memory imprint for certain heroes. So yeah, Specimen Sez he was buffed. He is better now. He's not a hero that you see much in the meta. He will deal tremendous damage if the target is stunned, and that allows you to do one-shots. And if he pulls the one-shot, he resets the cooldown of his skill that has extinction. And extinction means the hero will not be able to come back to life. They will not be able to revive that hero. So that's very good. And he's able to counterattack if this skill is available, the skill number 3. So that is really good right there. That is like a counter mechanism built into this hero, so you can build him slower, and if skill 3 is available, he's going to counterattack. Like, he's great if you're having trouble with heroes that revive. Arbiter Vildred is one of them, of course. Maid Chloe, Ruel of Light. There's a few of them, and he can help you out versus these types of heroes. You can build him tanky. He's still going to be able to land a one-shot if the target is stunned, and that is actually really, really good. So you're going to be able to build him with more health, more defense. You wouldn't have to worry too much about having as much attack and crit damage as possible. So that's great right there. He has stun part of his kit already, so that's really good. He has it on skill 1, he has it on skill 2, which sets him up nicely with the skill 3 Lightstorm, and like 100% defense penetration if the target is stunned. That's definitely a guarantee kill if the target is stunned. And even if the target is very tanky, that's great. But landing a stun might be challenging because you might not want to use Specimen Sez for landing the stun because you have to build effectiveness on him, and that's another stat you have to worry about. So it's hard to build him, have enough bulk on him for him to survive and do his thing. So yeah, it's hard to... He will need like really good gear, and of course he will need a team behind him. He's not going to be a hero that you can just fit in there in any type of team. Let me talk about Angel of Light Angelica. I tested her. I showcased her already in Guild War. I'm yet to do the one in RCA, but from what I'm seeing, this hero is very, very strong. She's built on account number 2. This is account number 1. So I have these heroes built on various accounts. Account 1, which I'm on currently, has a lot of those heroes built. So I'll show you guys how I built some of them, and you know, all that stuff. So Angel of Light, Angelica. The thing is, this hero is great to counter Cleave teams that attack, you know, all your heroes, and they deal a lot of burst damage. She's gonna be able to cut in between their combo, and she's gonna be able to, you know, disrupt that. She's gonna be able to potentially go between, but then you've got the skill nullifier that gets applied on your whole team automatically, right? And this dispels a debuff before that. She's immune to stun, and yeah, that Guardian Angel can trigger once every 3 turns. Like, this right there is already strong enough, the passive, right? But then when you get into the skill number 3, things get really crazy, because she's able, with the passive, every time one of your ally gets attacked, she gets some combat units, which allows her to cycle faster. She's gonna go faster, she will be pushed ahead of the enemy potentially, and then she can use skill 3, which doesn't deal damage, so it's a non-attack skill. So that means even evasion-based heroes, you can just make that happen. And that's really powerful right there. She dispels 2 buffs off of them, so you could take off immunity set, the immunity buff that they have, and then you're able to land unable to buff debuff for 2 turns, which is great. And then the big thing is the silence. The 100% chance to land silence for 1 turn, which means they cannot use any of their skill besides skill 1. So that messes things up. Like, it messes them really bad. And then another cool thing that not a lot of players might have known about, or how powerful it is the skill 1 can silence. And the chance is actually really good at 60, is it? Yeah, no, it is 75% chance. That's it. It's 10% and 15% from the skill up. 75% chance to silence. And if the target is already silenced because you did that with the skill 3, you're going to be able to push back their combat units by 25%. So you can soul burn this thing to increase the chance to 100% for 10 souls. So you can silence lock an opponent. Or if you're fast enough, if you're cycling fast enough, the enemy is slower, you can like silence more than 1 hero with the skill 1. Maybe you have on a counter set, or you have her on speed immunity or counter immunity. She could definitely work on counter 2. And skill 3, I mean, you're going to have the silence from skill 3 and the skill 1. Like, that's really strong, but you need a lot of effectiveness on her. You need to build some bulk health, defense. You need to have some speed. Like, it's really hard to actually build her. Like, she's going to need a lot of stuff, but you don't need to worry too much about speed, because that passive will allow her to, you know, go faster because of that. So yeah, definitely rough here, because Angel of Light, Angelica, there's no pity for this hero. And a lot of players will be in the struggles because it might get you a Specimen Sez, which you don't need or want because you already have him, or he doesn't fit your playstyle. So Specimen Sez, he can work for Bruiser playstyle. You just need to build some bulk on him. To be honest, he will work better if you build bulk on him, because he will do those one-shots if the target is stunned. So yeah, players are going for Angel of Light, Angelica, but there's no pity, so it's really rough. You know, you could be wasting Mystic Metals on that and not even guarantee her. Like, that's the worst part about it. Now, there is going to be Belian coming up, and that hero will be very strong, and I'll talk about that as well. Now, let's move on to Tamarinne. So, Tamarinne will be available on the 16th of September. And let me just pull her right here. Soul Weaver, Fire Soul Weaver. And the reason why Tamarinne is so good, well, the first thing you need to know is that she's not a limited hero. And limited heroes come once a year. Tamarinne you might already have, or you might be pulling from just doing Covenant summons, right? Or you might be getting her from one of those like 4 to 5 star hero summon ticket that we get from time to time. So the chances to get Tamarinne are higher than, of course, getting a limited hero, because they show up once a year. You cannot get limited hero from Covenant summons outside of when they are there, when their banner are there. Now, Tamarinne, the reason why she is so good, especially in PvE content, player versus environment, is that she provides so many things. She provides your team with cleansing of all debuffs when she uses a skill 3, which has a long cooldown, but she can have like an artifact like Prophetic Candlestick, which allows her to get this skill 3 like ready earlier. Or you could be using a hero like Isaria, which resets cooldown of the skills of the hero, which you can target Tamarinne, reset her skill, and she can use skill 3 straight off the bat. So Tamarinne plus Isaria is a very powerful combo that a lot of players have been using in PvE content. It was popular in PvP way back in the days, but not anymore. Now the skill 3 will heal her to the maximum of her health, which is really powerful right there as well. And it dispels all debuff from all allies. Very strong stuff, right? And then it grants her an extra turn. So that's great because you can follow up with skill 2 or skill 1. Skill 2 heals the whole team. It heals based on Tamarinne's maximum health. So that's cool because you build her with some bulk, right? With high health, hopefully. She doesn't have great base health, which is unfortunate, but still, she will get more, tanky, better survivability as you build health, and she will also heal for more. And yeah, now her skill number 2, it gives attack buff to the whole team. It pushes the combat units of the whole team by 50%. Now, that is very good because it's allowing your team to follow after her because they probably don't have they probably have some combat units already, so they follow back to back basically, and then you have attack buff, so it's very high offense, and you're able to deal tremendous damage in PvE content because of that, and that's great. So there's the healing, there's the attack buff, there's the combat units push for the whole team, so that's great. And then the skill 1 will trigger a dual attack with the ally that has the highest attack on the team. So it's a guaranteed dual attack trigger with the hero of your choosing. Like basically you set the hero that you want for her to call into a dual attack, and she will call that hero unless that hero doesn't have attack buff anymore and another hero has attack buff, which normally has less attack, but now because of the attack buff, which is 50% more attack, that hero will be called. But that is so much free damage. It's extra damage, and she attacks everyone when she's in idle form, which is triggered by using Shining Star, and then she also dispels not one buff from the enemy, all buffs from the enemy. So her kit is packed, and Memory Imprint, she even has attack for the other heroes in the team beside herself. It doesn't affect the hero that has it for the imprint release. The imprint concentration will affect herself, so you need some bulk. You can turn that on for certain battles, let's say. So yeah, overall, like, she is definitely powerhouse, very, very strong in PvE content, but she's not limited. Now, are you having difficulties in PvE content, right? You're having difficulties in, let's say, the Abyss. Maybe you want a better score in Hall of Trials. Maybe you want to bring her in Expedition. Like, there's a lot of places where you can bring Tamarinne, and that's really cool because you can invest in her and have her being used in multiple places, like Labyrinth. You can bring her in normal raid, you can bring her in hell raid, right? Like in hell raid, you can jump behind the boss after you cleared it one time, and you don't need to worry about morale, and you can bring a team that has more offense and stuff like that. You can experiment, and it's cool, right? So Tamarinne is going to be great for that. If you worry more about PvE content, you're not too much into PvP, Tamarinne is an amazing hero, and you definitely shouldn't skip her. Like, you should probably think about getting her if that's where you're struggling, or that's where you want to progress more, and things like that. So there we go. Maybe if you have Issaria, that could be another reason why you want to pull for Tamarinne. Let's move on to the next hero here. So it is my boy Ken. I did showcase Ken quite a few times. I even got him on my third account on the Europe server from the Selective summon. That is way back. And I went for like a Bruiser playstyle. Now this hero, I have him at +9 on this account, but I have him at +15 skill ups on, I believe, the third account. Yes, the Europe account, of course, because I got him from Selective Summon. Now Ken, where does he shine? Why would you summon for this hero? Now, this hero is better in Guild War PvP compared to Arena or World Arena. He shines more in Guild War. He's a fire hero. If you can bring him versus Earth hero or heroes in Guild War, of course, it will help you more. Now, this is a hero that scales his damage and his survivability, of course, with more health. So you can build him bulky, tanky, and he in turn deals more damage, which is great. Now, he is a single target damage dealer, so he will not attack more than one hero at a time, so that's something you have to think about. Now, his skills, he's got defense break on skill number 1. You know, sometimes you're able to land burn too, so that's cool, but the defense break, the decrease defense debuff, is very powerful because it shreds the defense of the target by 70%. No matter the hero, defense break is very, very powerful. It is hard to land in PvP, but Here's the catch with Fire Can. The thing about this hero is that the skill 2 also has defense break on for 2 turns, and it also increases his speed for 2 turns where he can cycle faster. And you get some fighting spirit when the enemy is defeated. And the thing is this line right here. When the caster is granted Vigor, Vigor is obtained from the skill number 3, which is not a skill you're going to be able to use straight off the bat because you need to have fighting spirit to be able to use it, right? But if you use the skill 2 after you got Vigor, it will ignore the effect resistance of the target. Now, if the target is not an ice hero, because you will evade, the hero will evade, you will miss your attack versus ice 50% of the time unless you have hit chance on him. You know, you got hit chance from his artifact or something like that. Like the Guild War artifact, the Unity Guild War artifact can get up to 20% hit chance. So you will miss 30% of the time instead of 50. Just a tip right there. So that's big right there. You ignore effect resistance. So it could be a hero loaded with effect resistance. They might have 200%, 300% effect resistance. It doesn't matter. He can land defense break, which means you're going to be able to destroy that hero, deal so much more damage because you land the defense break on that said hero. And you don't have to worry about the 15% innate resist. 15% chance normally that you cannot land your debuff. But when you ignore effect resistance, you will land that debuff. And it will be great because you will deal so much damage, and the soul burn grants him an extra turn, which means he can land the defense break and get the extra turn into the skill number 1 or maybe the skill number 3. Really depends if it's ready. But yeah, that's super strong. That is the strongest combo that Ken can pull off, and why he's such a good hero, let's say in Guild War. But he's fire, so you cannot bring him in a lot of teams that have ice hero or heroes, of course. So, or maybe the hero that you're trying to take out, let's say a Landy, she's stealthed. So you cannot even target her with your single target attacker, which is Fire Can. So yeah, now in Arena, in World Arena, he's not impactful enough. He doesn't provide enough. He's too slow. So that's why he's not being used much at all. So there's that. Now, this hero, like I said, you build health, he will deal more damage. Now, you do have to build crit chance on him. You have to build crit damage. Of course, the health. You have to build some speed, effectiveness if you want to land your debuffs. But if you do the combo of getting Vigor with the skill 3 into the ignore effect resistance skill number 2, then you don't need to build too much effectiveness on him. But if you're going to be bringing him in PvE content, then of course you do need to have, you know, effectiveness. And that's, yeah, that's hard to build all these stats, of course. If he gets some attack, he will deal a bit more damage, but it's the majority of his damage comes from the health that he has and the crit damage. So yeah, you can build him on various sets. You can have him on speed. You can have him on counter. Like on counter set, he's going to be great because you build him slower. If he counter attack and lands defense break, some burn, like it's huge. It is huge. And yeah, when you have Vigor, you can land burn. So it's not all the time. So you do need to get the Vigor to be able to land burn. And burn is based on 30% of your attack. That's how much damage it will do. And it will penetrate 70% of the target's defense. And if they have defense break, well, it's going to be 70% of the remaining defense that they have, which is already 70% defense reduction. So yes, you want to use him in PvE content, you can put Daydream Joker on him. You want to bring him, let's say, in Golem. Golem, he works good in Golem. He works very good in Golem, but Golem is not a place you want to farm, guys. Golem is... The sets got buffed, but they're not as powerful as Wyvern sets, Banshee sets, Azimanak, or Katie's Hunt. Like, that's the worst place to farm, basically. But still, the sets got buffed, so you can work on getting pieces from the... Like, you got the free set as a new player. Maybe some pieces didn't roll so well. Maybe you want to, you know, replace them with some stuff from the Golem. Right, but don't spend too much time in there, guys. You should definitely transition somewhere else. Now, can be used in other places, like he can be used in the Abyss. He can be used in, in Guild War and PvP. Can bring him too in Arena offense, but he's gonna be slower. Like, you want your battles to not take forever, right? And he's fire, so ice is pretty dominant, and ice will mess him up. So yeah, now you can bring him maybe sometime in Hall of Trials. You can bring him in normal Hell Raid, Labyrinth. Definitely you can bring him in a lot of places. You can bring him in Earth Expedition as well. But to be honest, like, he's not a limited hero. Let me move on to the next hero here on the list. So, yeah, Tamarinne and Ken will be available on the 16th of September. My God, I took forever for that. Let's talk about here. Tenebria. Where is she at? So I don't have Tenebria at 15 skill ups. I had her built before. I've showcased her. Yes, I did. So this hero is a control hero. She does have a bunch of sleeping. Sleep on skill 1, sleep on skill 3, and that's great right there. But the problem with control heroes is that there's 15% chance, 15% innate resist that your debuff will not land. Even if you have 100% chance to trigger your debuff, there's the 15% innate resist. She's fire, you gotta worry about ice heroes. You know, she's got the skill 3 and the skill 2 that attacks everyone. So a hero like Seaside Bellona will destroy her, right? It's already ice versus fire, so Seaside is at advantage. And then she attacks everyone, so it's building focus for Seaside Bellona, and she will shred your team if you use Tenebria there, right? And then Seaside can be built with super high health. I mean, 15 upward of 20,000 health, and she's gonna mess you up good still. She will still deal a lot of damage and be a threat on the board. So yeah, decreased defense, very powerful hero for Earth Expedition because you can attack the crystal consciously with the skill 2, the skill 3, right? And you're going to be able to just land defense break, boosting the damage of your main damage dealer in your team, which is cool. It definitely is. Then you got self-attack buff increase. You can build her with more offense if you're going to be bringing her in PvE content compared to PvP, let's say. But if you build her for control, then you need high effectiveness. I'm talking over 200% effectiveness, maybe upward of 300. It really depends how much effect resistance the enemy has, and if you want your debuff to land reliably. Still have to worry about the 15% innate resist. So yeah, there's that. So decreased defense into decreased defense for 2 turns into a sleep, very powerful because you can start to pick the opponents that didn't get slept. Let's say 15% innate resist, maybe they have high effect resistance. You gotta worry about the team that has fast cleansers on super high effect resistance that will completely break your strategy. So worry about that, right? Might want to ban those heroes. So yeah, defense break on potentially the whole team, and you got sleep on them so you can land a critical hit. When the enemy is slept, you will have 100% chance to land a critical hit on said hero unless you are at elemental disadvantage or they are evasion based heroes, which means you could miss your attack and not land your debuffs. And yeah, you will not be critting. You're going to be dealing 70% of normal damage. So very, very strong skill number 3 right here. Now the skill 2 allows you to push back the combatiness of the enemy, which allows you to get more turn over them. And yeah, that's cool. You can decrease speed, which means you're going to get even more turn on top of how many you're already getting more than them because they're wasting their turn. They're not getting their turn because they're slept, let's say. And then the skill 1 can sleep, so you can have her on a counter set, which is really annoying to deal with in PvP. And that's cool right there because you actually have a 70, is it? 70% chance to put them to sleep for 1 turn with skill 1. So you have on a counter set, she could sleep the hero that attacked her. And then if the enemy is put to sleep, it will boost her combatiness by 50%. That's why, you know, it is really, really good to have her on a counter set because if the target is slept, or you put them to sleep with skill 1, you get 50% of your turn already. Like, you're ready to go again. She's going to cycle fast, like really fast if that happens, and then she's going to go more again. Like, she's going to be able to use skill 3 again. And that's dangerous. That's very dangerous. If you have an artifact like maybe Ayala's Valiant to remove a buff from the enemy, that could work on her. You could have her on Abyssal Crown, get a chance to land a stun. So maybe you didn't sleep them, but you landed a stun. A stun is more powerful than sleep. So yeah, she can definitely control really hard. And that's really, really good if you are into control, which isn't the struggles because there's a lot of ways to mess control up with certain heroes, or maybe 15% innate resist, maybe Tenebria gets banned. So yeah, that's the thing. You need to build a whole control team. Anyways, let's move on to the next hero. My God, taking forever. I'll try to do this faster for, you know, next videos or something like that. But Luna, she got buffed. I mean, she got buffed. She deals more damage, more reliable damage too. She's got an exclusive equipment, which she got initially before she actually got her big buff. So what she can wear on her is this thing, when you are killing the target with skill number 3, you get an extra turn. So you can do skill 3 into skill 1. So that's big burst damage, especially with the soul burn on skill 1, which guarantee maximum hits, which means she hits so hard with this thing. And she also has, what's the other one here? You can land attack break, which cuts the attack in half of the target. Very good for PvE content versus the Wyvern or other places. Like you could be bringing her in Fire Expedition where she actually performs really well, but I would prefer her on this one. That's where I bring her right now. And she gets Combatuness, you know, with skill 1, which is better for Fire Expedition. She's going to be able to cycle and get a lot of turns because the boost of Combatuness push is actually, what is it, 3 times more powerful when the boss is like in a special state where he's quite dangerous and you want to get him out of that. But yeah, attack break very, very strong in PvE content because you got defense break on her skill number 3. Like that's super powerful right there. 100% chance if it doesn't get resisted. You penetrate the defense of the target by 50%. You are at elemental advantage. So you can even attack an earth hero, which you are normally at disadvantage versus, but you still have advantage like you would be a fire hero versus earth. So you will be dealing more damage. When you are at elemental advantage, you are dealing, I believe it's 10% more damage. That's already dead. And then you have more chance to land a crushing hit. That is if you didn't land a critical hit. So instead of a normal hit, you'll land a crushing hit, which is, I believe, 30% more damage than a normal hit. So yeah, you will acquire 5 souls if the enemy is defeated, which works great with her exclusive equipment that gets her an extra turn if she downs the target. Really powerful there. She gets 5 souls by using this thing. It has a long cooldown, but the cooldown reduces when you use skill 1. And you soul burn this thing, it will do the maximum number of hits, decreasing the cooldown by up to 3 turns of her skill number 3, which you can guarantee with the constant soul burns. And she already has 10 souls by herself. If she downs the target, get the extra turn, you can potentially down 2, you know, heroes. 2 birds, 1 stone kind of deal. And yeah, that's really good. She doesn't have the CR push for herself. It's because I'm using this exclusive equipment that she has it in the tooltip right here. But yeah, this hits really, really hard. And the passive is more crit chance. You don't need to have that much crit chance on her. She gets 30%, you know, more permanently. And she gets 30% critical hit resistance now permanently. So that means if they were supposed to land a critical hit on her, well, 70% of the time they will do it if they have 100% crit chance. But there's that 30%. And that also works with a critical hit resistance buff, which makes it even worse, more dangerous if you have that, like maybe you have her with a DN. So yeah. And she also gets defense increase when her health is at less than 50%. And when it's over 50%, she gets 30% more attack. So it's great because you don't need to build so much crit chance on her. She even has elemental advantage with the skill number 3, which means you get 15% critical hit for free when you're at elemental advantage. So you could have her, right, with so little critical hit chance. Like 55% crit chance means that she gets bumped up to 85% crit chance because of the passive if it's skilled up. And then she gets 15% at elemental advantage. So that means 100% crit chance with only 55% crit chance with the skill number 3. But then you still need to get 70% crit chance on your, you know, from herself awakening plus the gear outside of this passive if you want to land 100% crit with the skill number 1. So remember that. But yeah, much easier to gear her out, and she gets a ton of attack, 30% when 50% HP or more. Great there. Memory imprint, more attack for the self imprint, the imprint concentration, or crit chance for the team. So that's very valuable right there. But memory imprints are not a big deal, guys. Overall, across the whole game, the first one is twice as powerful as the following ones. And don't worry about getting multiple copies. Even for limited heroes, you can use Unknown Slate from every season of Arena to, you know, skill up, memory imprint a hero. So remember that, like, don't go crazy. You know, there's more limited heroes coming up. There's more heroes that you might need. You don't want to like blow everything, all your Covenant bookmarks on just one hero. So that is Luna for you guys. You can build her differently. I mean, I have her, you know, on a speed and hit set. She has a lot of effectiveness. I use her in PvE content, and the PvP would be different. It would be something like could build her super slow, push her all her combat units with auxiliary loss, so she follows and she can be on like you know, destruction and crit set, destruction immunity. Like there's different ways to build her if she's going to be pushed with a hero like auxiliary loss. But if you want to boost her combat units with a CR pusher, a combat units pusher that pushes CR by like 20%, 25%, 30%, then you will need to have her on a speed set, like speed crit set, speed immunity set. If you're guaranteeing to go, if you're sure that you're confident in your speed, then you don't need immunity set on her. You could have more stats, like you could have her on a speed and crit set, right? So yeah, different ways to go about it. You can have her on Portrait of the Saviors. You can have her on the Unity artifact from the guild shop, so you can have some hit chance on her. And yeah, versus evasion based hero. You can have her on a tanky build with a high health defense. You want her on a counter set and an immunity set with like 15,000 health or more. You can have her on Sigurd's side, so she can replenish her health when it's 50% or less. She gets more attack when it's activated, absorb damage dealt. I mean, that's really good to keep her alive. And now, if you trigger a counter attack, you know, like this thing does a lot of damage. And if you save your souls, you could do big burst damage, skill 3 into the skill 1, or just continuously soul burn the skill 1. Could trigger dual attack with her, and the skill 1 really hits hard when you get the maximum hit. But if you don't get maximum hit, of course, it's not as powerful, right? I mean, the minimum hit versus maximum hit is almost like the maximum hit is like double the damage of the minimum hit. Almost like it's something like that. It's pretty ridiculous. So that's why the soul burn is so powerful. And like so many stats that she gets, like it's so good, like really good. But she's an ice hero, right? So yeah, of course, you're not gonna be bringing her versus a team with an earth hero or a heavy earth team. So you gotta pick this hero like near the end in PvP. And to be honest, like this is a single target burst hero. Like if you're trying to do some cleave versus the enemy, cleave like dealing damage versus the enemy, like outspeeding them, throwing a bunch of AoE damage at them, it's very hard to pull that off. Like very hard. There's too many counters now. It's rough. But single target damage, that's where it's still possible to deal with tanky teams and mess them up. And that's where Luna can shine. And I will be showcasing her in RTA, in World Arena, which we call RTA, Real-Time Arena, not too long from now. So stay tuned for that. I showcased her already, but I'll showcase her in RTA because I feel like since she got buffed, she has a lot of potential. A lot of damage can be done, and you can do great things with her, especially with the extra turn on skill 3 when you down the target into skill 1. Like so much potential from that combo right there, opening up like potentially double kills. Like that's huge. Okay, let's move on. Next one is going to be Landy. So Landy, I don't have gear, I think, on her right now. But yeah, I have her at 15 skill ups. I've showcased her a few times. Now Landy, you want to build her with bulk. I'm talking like 13,000 health, 15 up to like 15,000 health, even more. If you have the artifact, Guiding Light, it's the artifact, the limited artifact of Cerise. Now you have to watch out for Cerise when her limited banner comes, because you want to have this Guiding Light artifact, which gives stealth to Landy. Just I'll show it later, but you can see like her skills are very dangerous because she attacks everyone with skill 3. She gives speed buff for 2 turns. I mean, for all allies, which means you're going to be able to cycle faster. But the reason why this thing is so powerful is that it cannot trigger a counter attack, and also it penetrates defense of the targets when she's at maximum fighting spirit. So you're building fighting spirit with the skill number 1, which gives 20, and the fighting spirit gain can be doubled to 40 fighting spirit if the target is buffed, and buffs are running in a lot of teams, so it's very easy. It could be an immunity buff, simply an immunity buff. So yeah, it will give her double the fighting spirit. You can even have Landy, I mean, on a counter set. You could have her on a counter set with immunity. That works. You can have her on speed set with immunity set. There's different ways to build this hero, right? This passive boosts her attack after she attacks, and it stacks up to 3 times. She gets 60% more attack as the battle drags on and she gets more turns. So if you trigger a counter attack, yeah, she attacked right there from a counter attack, so you could be building that faster. So there's that. And if you trigger counterattack, you get Fighting Spirit up to double 40%, 40 Fighting Spirit instead of 20, which means you're going to be able to get the defense penetration of 50% with the skill number 3, which is pretty insane. Right there. And the passive, also, at the start of the turn, you get 10 Fighting Spirit for each buff granted to the enemy. So, right, like you can get a lot of Fighting Spirit, which means you're going to be able to penetrate defense by 50% often, which means you're going to be shredding the enemy, even if you have high health, high defense, and not that much attack and crit damage. That's another reason why she's so powerful. Now, when the Fighting Spirit is full, she resets the cooldown of skill 3. So imagine, like, if you're able to use this thing back to back with the Soul Burn, which grants her an extra turn, it is so dangerous. It's so much damage. If the Frenzy in the World Arena builds up, she's going to be dealing more damage. So you can set up the Soul Burn, you save your souls for that time. The enemy, has a bunch of buffs now, they buffed up, and you're just going to do your combo of skill 3 back to back, right? If they have so many buffs and they're really tanky, you could pull off with, with 40 souls, you can just Soul Burn, skill 3, skill 3, skill 3. Like, it's possible. It's possible if they survive. So very dangerous. Now remember that when you use skill 3, you consume your Fighting Spirit, which means you will have to rely on the buffs that they have. They will need to have 10 buffs on them or more to be able to get 100 Fighting Spirit. So you're going to be able to, to Soul Burn, to penetrate defense by 50% again. So it's rough, right? If you don't counterattack, if you don't use skill 1, it is definitely rough. Sorry, you will need them to have 9 buffs. 9 buffs because you get 10 Fighting Spirit. So yeah, easier I guess, but still. This hero is dangerous because she ramps up with the attack buff. She deals more and more damage. She doesn't trigger a counter attack. She deals damage versus everyone, penetrating, shredding 50% of their defense when she's full Fighting Spirit. Potential Soul Burn and 2 double, like skill 3 twice back to back, which is way, like very difficult to survive against. And the skill 1 make her cycle faster. And also gives her more Fighting Spirit if they're buffed, which is going to be easy because you're going to be picking Landy versus a team that has buffs, right? Or some players even pick Landy like first pick, which is not recommended, but that's one way to go about it. Some players even ban Landy. I personally have been banning Landy for a while before. And yeah, because she's hard to deal with. If she's stealthed with the Guiding Light artifact, which I'll show you guys, Cerese's artifact, when you're in stealth, you take 50% less damage from an attack that hits everyone. So that is huge survivability increase right there. Like, that is really, really strong how powerful that is. So Guiding Light, it's not a 100% chance to get stealth at the end of the wearer's turn, but at the start of the battle, you will have stealth guaranteed for 1 turn. So you can have Guiding Light on various ranger heroes, but Landy is definitely a popular one, right? That's how you make her work, really. Like, to be really annoying and dangerous with Landy, you need Guiding Light. Like, that artifact really pushes to a whole other level. So you gotta be mindful of that. You will have to wait, save your Powder of Knowledge so you can guarantee getting the limited artifact from the shop, right? You go here in the shop, Powder of Knowledge, and you buy the limited artifact for 240 Powder of Knowledge. So you want to be saving that. And then you can limit break a limited artifact using Bottle of Knowledge. That's very important to know that stuff. So you can save Bottle of Knowledge in advance and stuff like that. But you will need Guiding Light. Maybe you want to run it on 2 different rangers. So that means you're going to have to, get one from summoning for Landy. Or just maybe you already have her. You're going for maybe the artifact. Maybe, yeah, you need 2. So you can only buy 1 for Powder of Knowledge. You cannot guarantee, you cannot pity the artifact from summoning on her banner. Remember that. That's another thing to worry about. Now, let's move on here. Now, the next one is, real quick, I'll talk about Auxiliary Lots. So Auxiliary Lots is a hero that is very good when it comes down to, let's say, Guild War is where you can use him more so than in Arena, because in Arena, most teams are running Politis, which will cut your CR push by half, which will trigger her passive, which means she's going to attack your whole team before your hero even goes. and then she will cut after that said hero was pushed with auxiliary lots if that hero is still alive. And that hero might be disrupted because, you know, a Politis might have crippled with debuffs, removed immunity, yeah, there's a lot of ways that things can go wrong. So auxiliary lots, yeah, if you're cleaving single target burst, you can definitely put him to good use in PvP. You know, arena, yes, if there's no Politis, you can bring him in, you know, RTA, World Arena, can bring him in Guild War. Now, even in PvE content, right, you could have the Guild's Ancient Book to Soulburn the hero of your choosing to do more damage, get an extra turn. There's all sort of stuff you can do. You can even Soulburn his skill 3 to get an extra turn, which means you can do skill 2, and then you want to use skill 2 again when he goes next. So you use Soulburn skill 3 into skill 2. He might get counterattacked in his face and he could be provoked or killed. You do have to worry about that. But that's one way to sort of like use skill 2 kind of like back to back, right? Next time he goes. The memory imprint, very good. You get attack for top and front position, so more damage, very cool. And then you can use green lots to memory imprint him. So that's something that will allow you to deal more damage, or you can boost his survivability with imprint concentration, which of course I haven't done. So yeah, the silencing here can definitely be quite devastating if you land that, because it's 2 turns. Silence for 2 turns, so you could be building him with your best speed, but also you could sacrifice some speed and have a lot of effectiveness on him, which means you're going to be able to, you know, if you land silence, that's a game-winning move right there in a lot of cases. If you silence that on a cleanser, on like damage dealers, can mess up the enemy team pretty good. You can even open up in PvP with Soulburn skill 3 and to then push. Like you can start that. If they don't have immunity, let's say, you can definitely mess them up good. But the chance is 75% chance, not 100% chance to silence. There's the 15% innate resist that can mess you up. He cycles faster with the skill 1. He gets attack buff as well as the hero that the ally you will target with the skill number 2. So that's cool right there. And he also gets 30% combatiness for himself, so faster cycling. So this hero, I mean, players will not be going for this hero. Belian is there, but if you end up getting auxiliary lots and you didn't have him because you were summoning for Belian, that's a nice surprise, right? But you should not be chasing for a Moonlight 4-star hero. Like auxiliary lots is not going to be as dangerous as a hero like now that got released, Angel of Light, Angelica, right? Like this hero is so ridiculously powerful, but it really depends on your playstyle. Now, from these heroes, now let me talk about Belian as well, because, you know, she wasn't released yet. I do have to show you guys her skills, you know, with, you know, from the preview video. Let's talk about all that. And also, the thing I want to talk about here, if you have to go for certain heroes, depending on your playstyle. If you're into PvE content, Tamarinne is very, very powerful. Now, the other powerful hero is going to be Landy versus Luna. Landy is going to be very powerful in PvE content. Like, I'm talking Azimanak Hunt. You're struggling there, Landy is so powerful there. You can run her with 3 free-to-play heroes and she can do great. I showcased her there. You can check out my video for that. Luna, if you're struggling with Wyvern and you want her, you know, waifu, you want her because you want to use her in PvP as well, then Luna, she's going to be great. Worthy investment of your resources. So yeah, it really comes down to what do you want to farm in PvE. If you worry about, you know, PvE that much, if not, if it's about PvP for you, Landy will be extremely, extremely good. Like, Landy is such a good hero, not only for PvP, but also for PvE. And you can bring her in all sorts of content when it comes down to PvE as well. So, Landy on Guiding Light, such a devastating hero right there. Not triggering counterattack as well. Anyways, I talked about her already. But if you have to choose, if you're really struggling with Wyvern, which if you have Sigrid and 3 heroes, you can do Wyvern quite fast already. Like, you can have Angelica in front, you can have Sigrid if you do have her from Selective, you already have her from summoning her. And then all you need is build Furious from Connection and Alexa from Connection. And yeah, you are good to go. Like, you don't need Luna for that. You don't need Luna. So remember that. Now, Luna, you might want to wait for my showcase and like really see her in action, and it will come down to like who you should go for, Luna or Landy. then I'll give you guys more thoughts and review, Landy, which might push you, and review Luna as well, which might push you toward a certain hero. But from what I know and what I've seen, Landy is a hero that is in the meta, is a hero that players pick in all sorts of leagues. I mean, I'm talking like top players are picking Landy because she's so strong. And Landy also pushes the combattiveness of the team when I didn't talk about that. She pushes the combativeness of the team when she's at full fighting. No, wait a second. No, she got buffed. That's the thing. She pushes combativeness by 15% of the whole team. Gives them speed buff. She doesn't need to have full fighting spirit anymore to get the CR push, which is huge. Some players even trick the enemy because they put all their best speed gear on Landy, which is not a smart play because she only has 112 base speed. But 112 is not that terrible. Like, it's still pretty good, and it can surprise players. She can soften them up and pushes the combativeness, gets speed buff on them, which activates a hero like Green Sid. Anyways, so yeah, Landy, very, very good. Luna is not like a proven hero. To be honest, speed single target burst is not something that you see in top play, like high ranked players, legend players, right? This is not something that you see. So she's not proven. Landy is. Landy is a guarantee, like success basically, unless you're not gonna be bringing her versus a bunch of fire heroes, of course. But yeah, Landy's great. So for PvE, Tamarinne would be second. If you don't have Landy, you go for Landy. But if you do have the Covenant Bookmarks, you can get Tamarinne and Landy. I mean, go for it. Like, that's going to be great for you. It's going to really help your account a lot. Now, Specimen Sez is not a hero you want to summon for. Like, forget about Specimen Sez. Oh my god. This is not why you would summon for this rotation. It's really about Angel of Light, Angelica, which counters Cleave really hard. Even other playstyles, she can mess them up. And the constant silences when you have high effectiveness. Oh god, it is cancerous. I've showcased that. You can go check it out. Really dangerous stuff. So yeah, I will test her out in RT for you guys, and we can see her in action, and I'll review her for that game format as well. Fire can, forget about him unless you really, really want him. So heroes that are not limited, that are RGB, Fire, Ice, Earth, are only going to last 1 week. Limited hero, limited banners, Luna, Landy, they last for 2 weeks, their banner. Moonlight hero from the Mystic rotation, these banners, they last 3 weeks. So yeah, remember that. Now, let me go and talk about Belian for you guys and finish this video off. Okay, let's go over Belian. Why is she going to be really dangerous? Is because she's a knight, right? Like that's already really dangerous because her skill 1 attacks everyone. She can be on a counter set and on Elbrus Ritual Sword, which increases her chance to counter attack. And if they target her, you got counter set. If they target the rest of your team, you got Elbrus Ritual Sword. So yeah, she can definitely do damage over time. Probably not big burst damage. But if you have to choose between Angel of Light, Angelica, and waiting for Belian, because Belian is, there's a pity, right? 201 Mystic summons, and you get her. But Angel of Light, Angelica is not guaranteed. You might be getting her from a recall from a 4-star Moonlight Selector ticket when it comes down to recalling a certain hero later in the future. So there's that. Most players will get Angel of Light, Angelica that way. Now Belian, you can guarantee her. Belian, if you're a player that likes to play Bruiser playstyle, high health, defense, tanky heroes, and start to disrupt the enemy, mess them up, start to take them one by one, take them out one by one, like that's gonna be a hero for you. Effect resistance for the team beside herself could be great if you're trying to push it even higher, so you don't get control, you don't get debuff, disrupted. Now she's got health for herself, more damage, already has a lot of health in her kit, like in her stats, her base stats, and her defense is high too, so very good survivability straight off the bat. So of course she's gonna be taking a lot of damage from, more damage from dark heroes, but still, she's very tanky. You can scale that up real nice. The speed at 110, quite surprising for a knight, to be honest. Now, she does have effectiveness as well, which is great because she is able to land some debuffs in her kit. Let's go over that stuff here. Now, the passive of Belian is very dangerous. Like, that is something that is permanent as long as she stays alive on the battlefield. It means that the enemy cannot get souls. That is really, really strong because souls enable really crazy stuff to happen in PvP. Now you block the soul gain. Now, what I'm told in the comment section, I believe, what is it? Is it the Japanese Twitter, or was it Chinese Twitter for Epic 7? They said, they confirmed, right? I mean, I'm not 100, I haven't seen it with my own eye, translated with my own eye, but from what I'm told, this actually blocks the soul gain from Tagil's Ancient Book. Now, if that's the case, that is completely broken. That is so, so powerful. This might be a bit too good right there. That is just her passive alone. Just the passive alone. You can mess the plan up of a cleaver just because of this heroes in the field, right? You block the Tagil's Ancient Book. They try to do single target burst damage. You can mess them up because of that, because they might rely on souls for more damage. They might rely on souls for extra turn mechanism, all sorts of stuff. Like, souls are so strong when it comes down to dealing as much damage as possible in a short amount of time. You know, a lot of teams run multiple mages with the Tagil's Ancient Book because it is that strong. But now there's a counter for that. So that's just one thing in her kit. At the start of her turn, she has, with the skill ups, 100% chance to grant a random buff to the caster for one turn. Now these buffs, you got effectiveness buff, which is 50% more effectiveness. So that means it might be a deciding factor. Are you going to use skill 1 or are you going to use skill number 3? So there's that. And also the critical hit chance buff, which is 50% more crit chance, which means you can build this hero with only 50% crit chance. If you think that you're going to be fighting dark heroes, which means you're going to be at elemental advantage, you might only need 35% crit chance if you want to rely on that crit chance buff to do the burst damage that you want to do, right? Continuous healing, which means that she gets those buff, one of those, at the start of the turn. The continuous healing will heal her for 15% of her maximum health at the end of her turn. So that's a reliable way to get some healing, right? And if you don't have an able to be buff debuff on you, then these things will be reliable buffs. Belian's skill number 3, Apocalypse. This attacks everyone, and then it decreases the combat units of the enemy by a random amount between 20 and 40%. That is pretty good right there. It might mess up their turn order. It will give you more turns over the enemy team, unless they have immunity buff, unless they have high effect resistance. So it's going to be a hero that is not that easy to build because you need to build bulk on her. You need to have health, but you also want to have some defense. She does get defense buff, so you can scale that defense even higher. And then you do have to worry about effectiveness. Even if you get the effectiveness buff, it's only 50%, and a lot of heroes have very high effect resistance. When you're playing the Bruiser replay style, especially healers, you know, cleansers, like, they have high effect resistance. So yeah, now, at least you don't have to worry about building attack. At least you might not have to worry about building speed because you have on a counter set and Elbrus set. Elbrus Ritual Sword artifact, 5-star artifact. So this skill also provokes the whole enemy team for one turn. Like, if you have her slow, that means that there's more chance that the enemy team go, which means they don't have their immunity set anymore, and now you're pushing their combat units by 22 to 40%. You're provoking them, forcing them to attack her, and if she's on a counter set, that could be potential counter attacks, and her skill 1 is very dangerous, and it can trigger an extra attack, and it attacks everyone. I'll talk about that in a second, but she's got defense buff for 2 turns. So you're provoking them, but you have defense buff on her, so that means she's got quite a bit of damage mitigation, so easier to sustain her, right? And then the damage is based on her own maximum health. So you do have to build, let's say you want to build crit chance and crit damage on her, so it's going to be rough because you're going to have to sacrifice other stats, and you might not have that much effectiveness on her, you might not have as much health and speed and defense, so you will have to figure out what is going to be the build you're going for. But there's going to be multiple ways to build this hero, of course. And just from her passive, blocking soul gain, blocking Tagil's Ancient Book soul gain is such a big thing right there, man. Because it's not only speed team, cleave team that rely on souls. Burst damage that is required to take out a team that is running like a Soul Weaver, like maybe a Ruel of Light, or a Soul Weaver that is just sustaining their team so well that you cannot deal with the burst damage that you are looking for, might depend highly on those souls. And it also is about timing. Whenever the frenzy built up to a certain level in RTA, that might be the time to shine, baby. It might be the time for you to be able to pull it off, and you are relying on those souls heavily. But she's blocking that. She's blocking that, and she's not all that. That's the thing. That's the worst thing about it. Like, let's talk about her skill 1 now. Here's what it looks like before we move on to you know, the skill number 1. Like, the provoke is so good. It's so good, but it's not only that. Skill number 1, Light of Destruction. This attacks everyone. So of course it's going to be dangerous if you're fighting a team with counter set, a team with, you know, Elbrus Ritual Sword. You're going to get a bunch of counter attacks in your face. So you have to build her tanky. You need to have high health, decent defense on her at least. Get that defense buff going. If she's built slow, that defense buff is not going to be on her, so she's going to take quite a beating. So yeah, there's things to worry about, of course. Like, there's counters to this hero because she gets extra attack. She gets an extra attack, which means Rowana could be quite dangerous. Like, she could definitely be a counter versus Belian, especially if Belian doesn't deal much damage, if the rest of your team doesn't deal enough damage, if you cannot land unhealable debuff against them, that's going to be an issue. Attacks all enemies with a ray, with a 65% chance to dispel 1 buff. That is after skill ups. So she can even remove buffs, like 1 buff at a time, of course, but counter attack will trigger this thing, remove a buff. Like, if that thing is happening, that's really bad for the enemy. And then when used on the caster's turn, has a 35% chance to activate Incursion as an extra attack. Now, okay, it has to be during the caster's turn. So if you have it on counter, if you have her on Elbrus, it will not be happening. You're not gonna get that extra attack, that Incursion to happen. So maybe Rowana is not as powerful actually because of that. Because Rowana shines when, like, those counters are happening, those extra attacks are happening, and they're all that free healing that is happening. You're balancing the randomness of it all. If you're unlucky, you're actually maybe lucky. If the enemy is not dealing that much damage, no unhealable, then Rowana will be sustaining all that damage. So yeah. Now, this Incursion thing is very good because it attacks everyone. It decrease speed down debuff, and then hit chance debuff for 1 turn. Both of them for 1 turn, and the damage dealt is based on the caster's maximum health. So yeah, more health, more damage. You can scale that with crit damage. Now the chance is not high, 35% chance. So even if you had on a counter in Elbrus and she was, let's say, able to trigger the Incursion, the chance is not so high, but it would have been a chance. But that's not the case. Like, it cannot happen during counter and Elbrus. So at least there's that, because if it was possible, there could be some really bad, like, things happening. If you're unlucky, it could be really, really bad, but at least it doesn't trigger that. Now, you can soul burn this thing for 100% chance to trigger that. Now, that is really good because you can decide when that's happening, and I mean, you could use it, let's say, let's say they don't have immunity buff on them anymore. Maybe you triggered a counter attack and you were able to take out their immunity, and now it's your turn and you're soul burning this thing, which means you could take another buff out, and maybe that immunity went off when you soul burn this. With the Light of Destruction, you used that, you took the immunity, and then into the Incursion, speed down, and hit chance debuff. Now that means the hit chance debuff is 50% chance of them missing their attack. Now right there, that's really good, and it allows you to you know, survive better. And yeah, like, hit chance debuff, really powerful stuff. And you can counter that at least with hit chance on, let's say, the Unity artifact or artifact with hit chance. Now, decreased speed means you're going to get more turns over the enemy because of that. Cool. And yeah, I mean, that is constant damage throughout the battle that you're able to do. Like, constant damage doesn't have to be like one hit KO type of deal. If you're able to constantly put pressure on them, right, with an attack that hits everyone, and put debuffs on them, like speed buff, speed down, hit chance debuff, take off a buff off of them, have her even work on a counter set, make her tanky, hard to take down. They want to focus on her. They want to take her down because maybe they want to start building souls because souls are so strong. But she's blocking that, so they have to work on her. So if you build her super tanky, then that's even better. Like, forget about the crit chance and crit damage, let's say. You build some effectiveness, you build her with a lot of health and defense, and you don't worry so much about damage, but she's going to be disrupting them. Now, it's not only about cost and damage, it's the disruption part. And the fact that she's able to remove a buff, and the fact that she's getting defense buff, provoking them. Like, that's some big disruption right there. Really, really powerful stuff. As well as blocking the souls, getting a random buff randomly. So yeah, a very powerful kit that she's gonna have. Let's see the skill 1 in action real quick. But man, her kit is really packed, and you know, she could be that control hero that might bring control back. Like, or you could incorporate more control in your Bruiser playstyle, with one hero on the field providing so much to your team and crippling the enemy really hard. Another cool thing is that even for free-to-play players, let's say you still have Mystic Medals and you feel like this hero is going to help you out, she's a waifu, and you can memory imprint her no problem. 10 gold transmit stone gives you a memory imprint, the key of intellect, available in the transmit stone shop. So that means like triple S memory imprint later down the line, which means free health for herself or effect resistance for the rest of the team. Now, when are these heroes getting released? Now, of course, Specimen Sez and Angel of Light Angelica are available now in the Mystic rotation. You got Tamarinne and Ken are available on the 16th of September. And we have Tenebria and Luna available on the 23rd of September. Now, we have also the next rotation, the next week is Landy, Belian, and Auxiliary Laws. Like, these heroes are going to be available on the 30th of September. So stay tuned for newer showcases or brand new first showcases of some of these heroes. Like Specimen Sez, haven't showcased him yet. I might end up showcasing him. I'll see if I have time. I will showcase Luna in RTA. I will showcase Landy in RTA. So it's going to be a re-showcase of Landy. Belian, I'll be showcasing her. I'll have, 15 skill ups on her. I'll see which account I'll pull her on. If I cannot pull on one account, I have 5 accounts. I'm crazy. I'm free to play across all 5 accounts, but I can get the heroes. That's the good part. I can get the heroes for you guys so I can showcase them and give you guys my thoughts. Review these heroes ASAP. So definitely stay tuned for all that. I'll be covering more, type of heroes coming up, like the rotations, and help you guys to decide who to summon for. Now, since I talked about Belian, who should you summon for? Belian to me is a no-brainer since you can actually pity her in the Mystic rotation. But Angel of Light Angelica, maybe you're lucky. Maybe you do get her early on. You're not going for the pity. You do get her. You save your pity for Belian. That could be a good way to go about it, right? If you have a bunch of Mystic medals, maybe you do Secret Shop refresh to get more before, Angel of Light Angelica goes away. But Belian could definitely be really powerful if you incorporate her in your playstyle, Bruiser playstyle, Control playstyle. Now, in terms of damage, I don't know how good she's going to perform in terms of numbers. You're trying to cleave with her. I don't know. Could be a meme. Cleaving is definitely dead. Could definitely come back over time, but you need so much gear. You need to be a day one player. AoL, you need to spend thousands of dollars in this game to really make Cleave work. Even at that point, you can't even make it work constantly, reliably, because there's too many ways for them to counter Cleave, which is really sad. So Belian, I would say, it would be better than Angel of Light Angelica. Angel of Light Angelica, if you're able to already stop a Cleave because you're tanky enough with multiple layers of protection, you're doubling up on Aurea, so if they ban one, you still have one. You got defense buff, you have like a reactive set, like counter set, immunity across your team. There's really a lot of ways for them, like for you to actually survive a Cleave. There's a lot of ways. So do you really need Angel of Light Angelica at that point? Like, maybe not. Maybe she's going to be a detriment part of your team, because I'll showcase her in RTA. We'll see that in action, but there's already many ways for you to survive, like loads of damage coming your way. Mess them up, cut between. So do you really need Angel of Light Angelica? The thing is, you could be running Belian. Like, maybe Belian would be better than Angel of Light Angelica, unless they're using, you know, Cleave that cannot trigger counter attack. So yeah, they're different heroes, guys. They're really different heroes. But to be honest, I would say for Belian, like if you're close to pity and you're gonna risk that, like you're gonna pity Specimen Sez just to continue try to get Angel of Light Angelica. That's a terrible idea. That is a very bad idea, I would say. Especially if you're not planning to use Specimen Sez, you feel like you're not gonna rely on stun to one shot with him and counter revive mechanism. Yeah, that's a big no-no, I would say. Now, of course, Tamarinne top tier in PvE, but Landy would be a higher priority because Tamarinne you can get her later down the line. Landy versus Luna. I'll talk more about that, or I'll showcase these heroes individually and give you guys my thoughts so you guys can better figure out who's going to help you more. But I already gave you guys my thoughts earlier in the video. Who works better depending on what you're planning to do in PvE and what is your playstyle in PvP. But Landy, even if you Cleave or even if you play Bruiser playstyle, Landy is going to be better than Luna. Luna can be built as a Bruiser, but she's not like a Landy hiding in the shadows and messing you up and hard countering a buff team. That's the thing. And that's the thing, man. Like, you have to worry about that. You have to think about that. Landy is such a powerhouse. If you have the Guiding Light artifact especially, like, she's on a whole other level. You can't touch her. She's stealthed on turn 1 and potentially getting stealth, you know, for 2 turns later on. And she can stay in stealth. You can't touch her, but she's shredding your team. Like, she's messing you up good. And she's also providing, you know, speed buff, CR push for your team. She's getting momentum. She's snowballing because of the self-passive buff. She could be on a counter set immunity. She could be on speed immunity. There's different ways to build her. And definitely a threat on the board. Like, you always have to worry about a Landy. So yeah, a player would be banning Landy much more than banning a Luna. If you're serious about PvP, you are trying to climb higher, finally reach into champion or higher, you know, Landy, very, very strong. And players ban Landy because she's that strong, right? So there's that. And if the enemy, like Ram, is so powerful from the ReZero collaboration, Landy is going to counter Ram. Like, players ban Landy because they're planning to pick Ram. Like, it's that, like, she's that dangerous. There's also Pavel, and I mean, there's Spectre Tenebria. So yeah, I mean, these are my thoughts about these heroes. Let us know what you guys think about all that in the comment section. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. I'm Astranox. Good luck with all you do. Peace out for now. And smash that like button if this was helpful to you so more people can see the video and it can help them out as well. All right, peace out for now.